Right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the session one, episode five of the series of Squaring the Circle debate. My name is Mandy Mock, and I'm the founder and CEO of Applied HE. Applied HE is the new kid on the block as an international higher education service provider that specializes in evaluation, branding, and professional networking solutions. For this episode of Squaring the Circle debate, this is the first time we are inviting speakers from the industry to participate as proposers, and our academic speakers are the opposers to this debate motion. Universities inadequately prepare students for the job market. Before I hand the stage over to our debate master, Dr. Kevin Downing, please allow me to thank the University of Airlangga from Indonesia for being the main sponsor. UNAIR, as they are also known, is the second oldest public university in Indonesia, a leading comprehensive university. They are located in Surabaya in East Java. They're very keen to explore further collaboration with international partners in the development of science, technology, and humanities based on religious morality. Thanks also to the City University of Hong Kong for co-hosting. And now, without further ado, let me hand over to the very capable and always entertaining Dr. Kevin Downing.
Thank you, Mandy. Welcome, everyone, all participants and all debaters. Very grateful that you've come along on this US election possible result, possible legal challenge day. I hope too many of you are not tired from staying up overnight. I personally slept like a baby. Anyway, before we go any further, let me introduce our four panelists. Once I've done that, I'll explain the process very briefly to everyone. Then you get your chance to vote, and then we'll begin the debate proper. So let me first of all introduce as our first proposer, Miss Lily Manharan, Managing Director, Creative Think Labs, Singapore / Indonesia. So please give a warm welcome to Lily. And then the other proposer, the second proposer, is Mr. Xi Ming, who's Regional Head of Talent Management, Funding Societies in Singapore. So warm welcome to Mr. Xi Ming. You can wave, Xi, it's okay. And then our first opposer, we're very pleased to have Professor Christine Piepiorka, Vice Dean for Sports, Media and Events, University of Applied Sciences, Europe, from Germany. So welcome to you, Christine. And last but not least, our second opposer is Prof. Hyung-Hui Chen, Dean the International College, Dean the College of Humanities and Social Sciences, Asia University in Taiwan.
Hi.
Thank you, Hyung-Hui. Okay, so this is the way it goes. For those of you not familiar with the process, first of all, in a moment or two, Peter will hand over control of Zoom to me, the power. And then what I will do is I will ask you all to cast your vote on the following motion. Universities inadequately prepare students for the job market. Universities inadequately prepare students for the job market. Once we've had that vote, I'll share that vote with everyone, and then we'll begin the debate, and it'll be 5 minutes without visual aids, first of all from Lily, then from Christine, then from Xi Ming, then from Hyung-Hui Chen. The idea of this is everyone gets 5 minutes. What I will do is, as you've done 4 minutes, I have here a wonderful bell, which I will do that to remind you you have a minute to go. And on 5 minutes, to be fair to everyone, I'll mute you if you haven't stopped. Okay, so unless you want to look like a goldfish, I suggest that you try and keep within your 5 minute period. This is a serious topic, but I also want it to be a bit of fun. In these times, I think all of us need a little bit of lightheartedness. So don't be afraid to ham it up a bit, speakers, if you wish. All right, so without further ado, I understand that I have been given control. And so I'm about to launch the polling. I will give everybody 1 minute exactly to vote on the motion, universities inadequately prepare students for the job market. You can either agree or disagree. I'm launching polling now. You can begin voting. You have 60 seconds. Wow, quite well balanced so far. Keep voting. There's still 10 or 11 of you that haven't voted. So if you've gone to make a cup of tea, please come back quickly and vote. Only 22 of you have voted, and yet there's 35 participants. 23 of you have voted. It's finely balanced, so you have 20 seconds. Wow, so many undecided, not even voting. 23 out of 35 so far. Ah, okay. Right, I think we're getting there. Okay, we now have we have 23 people voting. Maybe we'll have some more voting at the end. Okay, I'm going to end the polling now and share it with everyone. Okay. You will see that 63% agree with the motion that universities inadequately prepare students for the job market, and 38% disagree. So let's see how open-minded you all are. It seems that Lily and Jiming have a fairly easy task, and perhaps it's going to be an uphill struggle for Christine and Xinghui Chen. So good luck, everybody. And without further ado, I'm going to go directly to Lily to open the debate. Lily, you have 5 minutes starting from now.
Ladies and gentlemen, simply put, the job market is evolving so fast that there is no way universities alone can adequately prepare students for it. Let's start with the lack of funding and agility. Due to many governing bodies and regulations that supposedly controls quality, which can be good, but these also slow things down. Universities are unable to adapt their curriculum to the ever-changing needs of the job market. Compared to companies like Apple, one of my clients, together with partners, Apple has set up Apple Developer Academies in Brazil, Italy, and Indonesia. They have the resources and agility to adapt their curriculum yearly, monthly, weekly, and even daily if needed. Employers flock to their recruitment fairs, one's coming up, to snatch up these graduates. We are in a VUCA world, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. The antidote for that is also another VUCA: vision, understanding, clarity, and agility. We all know people in our lives right now who are picking up iPhone photography, video making, podcasting, SEO, SEM, or project management skills to add value to themselves and to their employers. Well, and where do they go to find these skills? Imagine your boss needs you to pick up Facebook marketing or master Google AdWords in your ever-evolving job role. You say, wait, boss, not the right timing. University has not opened for application yet. As we say in Singapore, die la, right? Granted, there are some among 25,000 plus universities in the world who try harder than others. For example, the universities partnering Coursera along with many forward-thinking companies. But really, whatever you need to learn now and whatever support and environment needed to best help you to be continually employable, there is a course, training program, coach, mentor, accountability partner, brain trust, or learning community for you to access now. Think Udemy, LinkedIn Learning, General Assembly, Skills Crush, Seth Godin's Alt MBA, Freelancers Workshop, and many other micro learning tools. As an article in Harvard Business Review in 2019 quotes, while employers want candidates with higher level of EQ, resilience, empathy, and integrity, those are rarely attributes that universities nurture or select for. Another HBR article quotes, a software CEO I spoke with recently said he avoids job candidates with advanced software engineering degrees because they represent an overinvestment in education that brings with it both higher salary demands and hubris. Look, I am not slamming universities. I have worked in and with so many universities and admire so many university leaders, including many of you. University adds so much to life, broadening mindset and experience. My husband works for a university. My kids will likely go to university as well. They're looking at options of very innovative possibilities. But just by producing these diplomas are not enough for them to get and keep jobs. Universities at large are not set up to provide just-in-time, adaptable learning, ongoing support, community coaching, and mentoring that is essential to help future employees master technical soft skills attitudes to be continually employable. And if my kids and their friends get exciting, challenging jobs by demonstrating what they can do and continue to grow and learn without going to university, I will celebrate. Because frankly, the world is changing and learning models are changing. Therefore, universities alone are inadequately preparing students for the job market. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lily, for that very enlightening and lively and very clear proposition on behalf of the motion. And thank you for introducing me to a new term, VUCA voodoo or whatever. And the name dropping, of course, that Apple is one of your clients. That's very, very, very good to have got that in. So without further ado, I'm then going to go to Prof. Christine, and Prof. Christine is going to speak against the motion. Christine, you have 5 minutes beginning now.
Thank you. Hi. The aim of students' studies is to gain knowledge, develop skills, and able to take up a profession, of course. As university, we have a duty to prepare students for their careers. This can be successful in if universities observe a few points. First, it has to be not just a classroom or a library. The university is originally a place of meeting, learning, networking, and exchange. This is often forgotten, you're right. But simple front teaching is not helpful for either students or lecturers. Only participatory teaching prepares students for working life. If students learn knowledge through stories and experience, knowledge can not only remain knowledge, but can be stored as experience. This is the best way to learn. So I invite experts from the field to take part in my courses according to the topic in question. They report on their experience. I also ask them to bring along practical tasks and carry them out with students and then discuss the solution together. Also, excursions to companies and orders placed by the company enable students to know the practical side of everyday life, every day. The imitation of practice in the courses can also be implemented. I run a so-called teaching editorial office for my journalism students. They form their own editorial office, are responsible for their own publications in their own magazine, radio, and TV program. As a lecturer, we sit at their side and give advice, but not lectures. For me, this is the epitome of practical learning. It has to be not just exams. The classical way of assessing a student's progress is through written or sometimes oral examination or exams. We should also encourage students to think for themselves in exams. Means Reproduction in written exams during basic studies is certainly important, but also the transfer of knowledge to current case studies. And this can go much further. We must encourage students to develop creative, practical ideas from the exam papers. Entrepreneurial thinking, creative thinking must be encouraged to practice this for everyday work. It has to be not just one-sided commitments. Both lecturer and students have to work together to develop the professional skills needed for later studies. Employability is only possible if both pursue this. The lecturer can offer all the mentioned above, but the students must also participate and be motivated. A lean back attitude has no place here and interferes with the development towards a career. There must be social interaction at the university. At best, a university must give students the opportunity to interact socially, but both inside and outside the courses. This can be achieved through the above mentioned means, but also through working groups outside the classroom. For example, students can be encouraged to set up a startup at the university environment with a device from their professors, or to organize a campus radio or to found a magazine. This way, students can try out their skills in the university protected area and gain practical experience for themselves with permission to fail. After all, that is the core objective of professional education, from my point of view, to prepare students as well as possible for success in the professional world. There are many ways to prepare students of their careers. Every university can do it, but so can every single lecturer. And I try it every day. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Christine, for that lively opposition to the motion, proposing different methods for adequately preparing students for the job market. Without further ado, I'm now going to go to the second proposer, Mr. Ximing. Ximing, you have 5 minutes beginning now. You'll need to unmute.
Yeah, great, thanks. Hi, everyone. I will probably just share a bit more from my personal work experience and my career history, some part of it in customized education with NUS. So one thing that we realized transiting from the academic world to the professional world is that how universities has been able to prepare them. One of the symptoms that we do realize is that faculty bench, the strength of the faculty bench in the university is critical. We have seen a rise in the increase of the young professors and lecturers coming in from SCD companies like Facebook, Amazon, Google, that were able to provide more real-world type of case studies to students that the classical bench of faculty that was being provided to students. And we saw the rigid framework that those faculty were able to provide to students in classical knowledge. But we are not sure if enough is being done through case studies and attachments to replace the real-world challenges that people are facing every day in their own companies. And despite bridging programs that as evidenced by our industry partnerships, a lot of it is also very dependent on these companies who are facing these disruptions to be able to deploy a learning pathway to prepare and support the development of this new generation of workers that will rejuvenate the workforce. So we question whether universities are the right place for these skill sets to develop. And from a talent management perspective, we are looking at the change and the evolving of learning models. The learning model of 70-20-10 of on-the-job learning is getting less relevant now. We are seeing an increase of evidence of continuous learning by courses offered by FANG companies through Coursera, whereby they are able to provide a lower barrier of entries for learning cross-functional skill sets. The thing that students face with entering universities, they are constantly being judged and provided those entries based on their past results, which might not be relevant. So there could be some sort of systematic adjustments that could be done there to really evaluate the soft and power skills of each individual and their unique gifts, which is not often taken sufficiently to account. In our current experience with working in new industry competency frameworks, covering technical skills and competencies, new underwriting methods for fintech, the struggle that universities face is keeping up to speed to adapted frameworks in the industry that gives birth to accelerator programs provided by government, and those interventions are absolutely necessary as governments try to keep up and stay up with the economy and the disruptive changes it brings about. The recent pandemic of COVID has further accelerated the need to go deeper into technology, and it changes the way we live and deal with our daily life. So in terms of the disruptive economies that we're looking at, we see the rise of technology, AI, machine learning, data science, analytics, engineering, even marketing and social media in the VUCA world, where agility is often called for people who have the T-shaped talent to branch out beyond their current specializations to take on other specializations that keeps them more employable. We feel that how universities can better partner us is through developing the grit and resilience and growth edge of these talents. Traditional presentation skills through Toastmasters, programs, and curriculums, moving from teaching literacy to grading systems to identify strengths and innate talents and motivations are a good starting point for universities to, in those safe environments, allow students to experiment. So, we are also moving away from a competency-based assessment where universities are quite used to. With the industry demands now, we're looking for people who have the competencies and the behavioral motivation attributes to deliver. So I do believe that preparing the maturity of students will be an area of focus that universities can aid the industry in. So I think that's what I'll share for now.
Thank you very much, Ximing. That's another very supporting proposal for the motion from our industry partners. Before I go to our final speaker, you can begin to raise your hands now, those of you who are attending, the participants, and I will see that on my screen, and I can go to you immediately after the final speaker. But do begin to raise your hands now. Remember, it's not a Q&A session. What we want you to do is to say who you are, where you're from, and then you have 10 sentences to make your point. So you have to précis your point within 10 sentences. We'd love to see you on video, but that's not obligatory. If you prefer to stay anonymous because you're in your pajamas or whatever, that's absolutely fine. I will now go without further ado to last but not least, speaking against the motion, Prof. Yinghui Chen. Prof. Chen, you have 5 minutes beginning now.
Okay, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm the opposer to the statement of the argument that universities inadequately prepare the student for the job market. Not because I am an academician, I come from the academic circle, I need to speak for my profession, but because the statement itself is untrue, it's not true. And I'm going to tell you why it's untrue, especially if we look at the issue from the progressive development of the school across the world. I think, the argument that, or the notion that university inadequately prepares a student for the job market mostly came from the time when universities were mostly composed of arts and sciences. And at that time, many professors, according to some survey, more than 50% of professors in arts and professors do not think preparing the student for the job market is an important, function of education. But actually, if we look at, the school across the university, you come to realize more and more universities are paying attention to the needs of the industry, to the needs of the student, of the parents. Just give the school system from where I come from, Taiwan, for example. At all the universities in Taiwan, when we talk about the improvement of curriculum or the desired curriculum, we all need to invite experts or executives from the industries to review, to render advice on the desired curriculum, making sure the curriculum meets the needs of the industries or the job market. Another indication of the universities paying attention to the needs of the industry is in Taiwan, for example, in many countries as well, in Germany, in Japan, in even in Indonesia. The government divide the school into two types. One is called the academic, one is called the vocational or the practical, the professional. And even in Taiwan, for higher schools, we have these two types of system, the vocational and the academic. And in the 1990s, 70% of high schools are academic, whereas 30%. But when we moved to the 2010, in other words, when we moved to the 21st century, the percentage is about equal. 50% of vocational high school, another 50% of academic high school. This is in the high school. At the university level, we have the same. We have two types of university, the so-called comprehensive or academic university, research-oriented university. The other type is called technical vocational university. And in Taiwan, the technical or vocational university altogether is 87 out of 153. In other words, account for more than 56.8%. In other words, far higher percentage of universities are vocational or technical universities. I think these, figure just give you some idea about the progressive development of the school across the university, and in Taiwan, in Japan, in some other countries as well. But unfortunately, at this moment, we are facing an unprecedented and a very uncertain situation. And a lot of people would argue this situation is brought about by pandemic, by COVID-19, the so-called the new normal. But my argument, the new normal actually is brought about by the breakthrough in technologies. So for how to teach, how to prepare our students for the 21st century, for the coming era, I do believe many experts have also made the same argument. We need to teach our students the so-called the 4 C's, critical thinking, collaboration, communication, etc. And I believe in this regard, our universities are well prepared for fulfilling the job. I believe Steve Jobs talked about in his speech at Stanford University, the so-called connecting the dots. And our university are equal to the
You have
task,
10 seconds.
okay, of connecting the dots, helping our students to do this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Chen. Thank you to all our speakers for a lively introduction. I've been encouraging people to raise their hands, and someone is no stranger to those of us who take part in these debates and the general academic administration arena globally. I'd like to go to Professor Judith Lamy and ask Judith, I'm now going to allow you to talk, Judith. Do please go ahead, tell everyone who you are, where you're from, and make your point for or against. Thanks, Judith.
Okay. I don't know if you can see me, but I'm certainly talking. Can you hear me all right?
We can hear you well. Unfortunately, we can't see you, but that's all good. Don't worry.
Oh, well, it's all right. It's all right.
Your point is just as important.
Obviously. A few things. I mean, universities, I think, do a fantastic job. They've done a wonderful job for many, many years in terms of preparing students for the workplace, and indeed preparing students just for their future. But I wonder now, particularly, if the time of the traditional university is disappearing. Are we looking at new types of universities, new models, new types of collaboration that will create something that's different, that maybe isn't called a university anymore? A couple of recent ones come to mind. You've got the Dyson Institute, for example, in the UK, that's a private institute, obviously owned by Dyson themselves. That was founded to bridge the skills gap. The students will have jobs immediately on their sort of graduation. You know, so a very, very different sort of model. And you've got another new model called the London Interdisciplinary School. And this is a final point I really want to make. That is a new model in the UK where you've got a university or academia collaborating with industry, collaborating with the government, where you've got funding across all of those areas. Again, not with a traditional degree, but with a different suite of possibilities of qualifications, from professional qualifications to micro qualifications to degrees. So that the students, in a sense, are prepared for a broad workplace. So I wonder whether, you know, universities have done a terrific job, but in a sense, they can't really be preparing them for the workplace anymore, because the whole dynamic of the higher education landscape is changing. And that's not a bad thing. It just means we're evolving. And you're still mute, Kevin, and I'll unmute myself.
No, I'm not mute. Thank you very much, Judith. Really good points, and quite thought-provoking, and quite radical in the sense that universities may not be universities anymore. I'm going to go to Anupama Sureka in a minute, but first of all, I just want to make a comment following on from everyone so far. Do you think that we have gone too far along the specialist route in universities rather than concentrating on what I would call metacognitive transferable skills? In other words, the ability to think about your own thinking, the ability to interrogate not just your intellect, but the emotions which underlie that logic and that intellect. And maybe that's where industry and others are now saying, well, you're clearly not preparing people adequately for the workplace, but we need to perhaps educate some industry members a little bit more about the skills that we do imbue in students, the metacognitive skills and others, which generally graduates, non-graduates would take a lot longer to develop. And some people, of course, even graduates, never develop them. But I'm thinking of Donald Trump here. Let me just go to Anupama Sureka. Thank you very much, Anupama, for putting your hand up. Please say where you're from and whether you're speaking for or against. You'll have to unmute. That's great. Over to you, Anupama.
So, hello, everyone.
Hi.
Let me first congratulate you all for creating this wonderful platform. Very much needed, and it's high time that people do talk about these issues and take it forward. Little bit about me is that, yes, this is Anupama Sureka. We are into rubber industry. I'm also into Android learning and development solution provider, offering bespoke services in the domain of upskilling the individual. That's why I would like to tell you why I disagree. In my opinion, universities are doing their job well according to their curriculum. Mr. Kevin just said that, specific knowledge have been going on since ages. And yes, the students, why someone is very successful and someone is less successful? Reason is what? Someone should look within, introspect, and understand that is he or she is able to handle the job market, outside world? What are the difficulties which someone is facing in not understanding that why jobs are so difficult? Are you good in communication? Are you very good in objection handling? Can you do some critical thinking? Can you handle those things? If not, there are tools available. As Lily said, yes, one can connect with people and connect with the trainers and see yourself, judge that where you are lacking and handle that area of yourself, you can be equally successful and good. Because this is very important that each and every person should have a holistic personality. Why? How the holistic personality will happen? A pleasing and holistic? Because you have your domain knowledge. which is done, given to you by your university, school, colleges, so on. But how about the area where you want to be in and you are not fully equipped? So you have to pay that attention on yourself, and tools are there, training institutes are there. We are into this. I was wanting to, in fact, connect Mandy for that, because we are a fantastic bespoke service provider, customized service provider. So yes, that is why I disagree that yes, universities are doing their job well, but it is the individual who has to think, or she or he, that what is lacking in their personality, in their area, in their surrounding. Thank you.
Thank you, Anupama. I think you make some very good points there. As we continue to discuss this, I would like to encourage Charlene and Benny. You've asked some questions and you've made some points in the chat and in the Q&A. Please raise your hands so that you can make them verbally, because I think we'd all benefit from that. While you're doing that, well done, Charlene. I'm coming to you in a moment or two. While you're doing that, I want to just take this a little bit further, given the comments that we've had, and hopefully get people thinking around this area. I've always been a fan of authentic learning. The reason I'm a fan of authentic learning is basically because most universities teach us declarative knowledge about facts. They teach us procedural knowledge about procedures, and they send us off usually to placement to get contextual knowledge about the context. And if you add all those three things together, what you get is what I would term, and what John Biggs calls, functional knowledge. And it seems to me we should begin with functional knowledge. And perhaps that's what Lily and Xi Ming were kind of intimating from industry perspective, that functional knowledge is important. But the problem for us in universities is identifying that functional knowledge is an ever-moving stage, as I think the two opposers made the point, which is why I think Christine was talking about the way in which we deliver our courses. And Prof. Chen was talking more about, actually, this is difficult because it's a kind of moving platform, like trying to land a helicopter on a very small ship. And you're not quite sure where the ship's going to go next, because remember, we're looking 4 years, 5 years ahead when someone starts at university. Anyway, enough from me. I'm going to go to Charlene, because she's made some very interesting points and asked a very good question. Charlene, I've now unmuted you and allowed you to talk. Please say where you're from and whether you're speaking for or against, and then away you go. Thank you.
Hi, Kevin. I'm Charlene Allen. I'm speaking from the UK, from the organisation Red Emerald. I suppose there are two things really, and this sounds like I'm sitting on the fence in that I think universities do and they don't, because I think from building somebody's knowledge, giving them a sense of what it's like to work in a particular industry, I think universities do, and they do a lot to support students in that way. I think that the issue comes when you talk about the individuals themselves as students and how they enter university, what their mindset is when they start university, and their I suppose their family input as well, and their role models, etc. But what I've heard from colleagues is that they're finding that students now require more hand-holding, and people refer to the snowflakes kind of students, and I just wondered whether colleagues had experienced that recently with new students coming through, new cohorts, and how they're approaching that, and how they're building students' independence, that sense of independence, and kind of getting on with things, because that is what you have to do when you go into the workplace. So that was one point. The other point is around, we have careers support and advisors in universities, and experience again has been that maybe due to resource, that the focus is very much on the students within that country. So being able to support students from that country going into jobs in that country, whereas we know that universities' populations are made up of both domestic and international students, and how students, how universities are helping international students when it comes to preparing them for the job market with regards to employability and how they engage with potential employers back in their home country. And I think that's an area that we're lacking at the moment in institutions. So supporting the whole student population. I'll stop there.
Thank you, Charlene. Those are very good points and well made. And just to refer to the question you put up on Q&A, you were asking whether any of us found that current students need more hand-holding than they did in the past. I actually think that that's quite a difficult question for us to answer, because it depends, I think, on the type of institution that you're at, and to some extent, and I hate to use this term, but the academic quality of the students that you get. But I also think there's a tendency for those of us that have been in academia somewhat longer to look back on the past with rose-tinted spectacles. That's not something we should do. Our job as universities, in my view, is to lead, not to actually look back and bemoan that, you know, oh, things are not the same as they used to be. Well, of course they're not. Hopefully they're better, and they're getting better all the time. And it's our job to lead that. I think you make some great points. I'm very grateful to you. Thank you. Benny, you've been making some points, but you haven't put your hand up yet. Nestor's got his hand up, so I'm going to go to Nestor first, but Benny Santiago and Tetiana from Kiev. I'd love the two of you to put your hands up, because the points you make are very good. So whilst Nestor's talking, please raise your hands, Tetiana and Benny. Okay, Nestor, I'm allowing you to talk. Please go ahead. Incidentally, just before you do, I would make the point that all of our comments from participants so far have been excellent, but clearly none of you are mathematicians, because what aspect of 10 sentences did we not understand? But nonetheless, I'm glad you spoke for longer, because you made some very good points. Okay, Benny, no, sorry, not Benny. Nestor, please go ahead. Nestor, you put your hand down now. I'm allowing you to talk, Nestor, but you're muted. I've unmuted you from my end.
Okay. Do you hear me right now? So good evening, everyone. Thank you for Kevin in giving me the opportunity to speak up my mind, okay? So it is good the graduates would be academically well prepared. This is the primary reason why students are studying. Even your children, why you send them to school, why you send them to university. Universities prepare them for the tremendous amount of change that is occurring in the businesses and in the industry. Whatever their degree programs can be better prepared for careers in the following industry and many other industries where the profession have established a strong presence. Degree programs that are working very hard to provide the students with the right mix of theory and practice, and that provide the students with meaningful interaction with industry. The present education in general would continue to follow the idea of outcome-based education, or simply known as OBE. That's all, Kevin. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nestor, for very useful comments as always. I'm very grateful to Anita Churchville. Anita, I'm going to come to you now. Please say where you're from and whether you're speaking for or against. I've just unmuted you. Hi, Anita.
Hello, can everybody hear me?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Awesome. So I'm actually, I work at the American School of Bombay here in Mumbai, India. And I actually work with both ends of the spectrum, with kids who have special needs and also with gifted populations. And so I do a lot of work with universities and try to figure out whether these personalized pathways that we're creating, especially for the gifted kids, are a good match to what we are finding in preparation in universities. So my position is that universities, and sorry to say high schools as well, are not adequately preparing students for the job market. They're just not. I think that we think times have shifted so much that we're not really focusing on potential futures that our students may have. We're still living in sort of, a cookie cutter format of what education looks like. Now, I do think that they're preparing students how to think, but I don't think they're preparing them for the job market. So I don't know if one is more valuable than the other, but I do think that there's a lot of work to do and to align that, because we might try to make changes at the lower end and start thinking outside of the box and being more innovative and thinking about what the world is like. But then we still have to stop and say, wait, that's not what college is looking for right now. So that's that's my position. I'll stop. I know that's more than 10 sentences. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. And I really like, I like the points that you've made, Anita. I think you've got the crux of the issue here when you say, and it's been mentioned before, should we be preparing students for the job market, or should we be preparing students with a range of transferable metacognitive skills that others don't have? I mean, I hope I've summarized that. Is that a reasonable summary of some of what you're saying?
Yes, and I think Mr. Chen was talking about the soft skills. That's the piece that I feel like I'm not quite sure. We do that in high school, but I'm not sure how well you're able to do that in college. And that's the piece for the job market that I think is really lacking.
Thank you. Thanks, Anita. Very clear, very good points. I've got two more hands up. I'm just going to take those two, and then we're going to go to a final vote because we're running out of time. Let's see how succinct and clear Ignacio Cordova can be. Ignacio, I'm allowing you to talk now. We've got a very nice picture of you as we did of Anita. Please go ahead.
Hi, good evening or good morning, wherever you are right now. Here in the Philippines, it's good evening. So I would say good evening. Thank you, Kevin. This is a very good platform of Applied HE. I'd like to congratulate Miss Mandy Moak and her team for coming up with this one. And the topic and the question is actually very interesting. And in the Philippines, for 6 years ago, I developed a framework on how we can bridge the gap between the academy and the industry. The way I look at it, the question here is that for many years, I have seen a lot of universities trying their very best and very passionate about bridging the gap. However, I think there should be clear communication or probably coordination, or probably the government will support any mechanism that will bridge really the gap between the industry and the academe, because the academe most of the time will do its best, will exhaust all possible means in order to equip the students. However, you will always hear the industry will say there is a mismatch. There's a mismatch when it comes to performance. So I think there should be really a support mechanism where the industry, I'm speaking about our experience here in the Philippines, there should be a support mechanism where the industry could come into university and speak to the universities about their needs, about the skills. Because some may debate or some may argue about the soft skills, some would argue about the hard skills. So some would talk about the functional skills or functional knowledge. But really, towards the end, you will still hear the industry talking about the mismatch. So for the past 3 years or 4 years now, we are trying our best to bridge the academy and the industry by developing linkages and pathways, so that we can develop policies like, for example, at CHED and the Commission on Higher Education, the policies governing different programs that we offer in higher education. Thank you very much, Kevin.
Thank you, Ignacio. Again, some very good comments there. I'm going to move, just to give people a smile before we go any further. Judith sent me a message saying it was 10 sentences. It was just lots of commas, hyphens, and semicolons. I've learned from past experience. Judith will have the final words. Thank you for that, Judith. You made me smile. I'm now going to go to Harviz. Harviz, you're going to be the last speaker, I believe. I'm allowing you to talk now. Hi, Harviz. Harviz?
Can you hear me?
Yes, a little bit quiet, but otherwise we can hear you.
All right, sorry. Can you hear me clearly now?
That's better.
All right. Okay. All right. I can be thinking traditionally about this. Actually, I'm from the University Kebangsaan Malaysia. I'm more leaning towards, I think at the moment, university is adequately giving training to students. The reason why I'm saying that, I think, Mr. Zingming, you are from NUS. All right. Myself, I'm from the University Kebangsaan Malaysia. If knowing that, in the, I do not know how you guys look at it. It depends on the area of expertise, competency, and the job scope of the students when they go into the market, because everyone is looking at differently. To me, at this point of time, the universities are always keep in touch with the industry, asking them what do they need to prepare for the students. And if you look at the, for example, University Kebangsaan Malaysia, in terms of employability, we are at 90%, meaning to say it's good. I think NUS is also doing very well, but it depends on when the students are out there looking for a job, whether their job is suitable with their competency is another thing. And also at this point of time, we are also involved with enhancing soft skill for students. So this is where the students will be equipped before they graduate. Once they graduated, they know what sort of soft skills that they want and what sort of jobs that they are looking for. And of course, the industries also will have to inform the universities what kind of students the skills that they want. So the universities will be prepared what sort of students when they graduated, what sort of skills that they need to have before they go out. So at this point of time, we cannot say that we are not that adequate enough to preparing for the students. We do at this point because we are listening to the industries. But of course, the industry have to come back to us and tell us what kind of skill of stuff do you need. I think that's my point. That's it, Kevin.
Thank you, Harviz. That's very nice. You get to have the last word as well. I'm shortly going to go to shall we say, the exit poll. We've had the entry poll. Now we're going to the exit poll, or the post-test for the researchers out there. I'm going to share it with you. You'll have 1 minute to vote. I'll remind you that the proposition had quite a large lead in the opening vote. So I'm about to share, it was 63% in agreement opening, 38% disagreeing. I'm now going to relaunch the polling and we'll see if anyone has changed their mind. Okay, you have 1 minute, guys, from now. While you're voting, I just want to say thank you to everybody for their contributions. Those of you that spoke in particular, and for the nice chats that we've had that have been kind of semi-humorous in the chat area. I was worried that Charlene was the only one that had put something in Q&A. So Charlene, I'm glad you had a chance to share your views enthusiastically because the Q&A section looked very lonely with just you there. But at least you had a chance to share that. Okay, we've got 10 seconds and then I will close the polling. And wow, quite interesting. Quite interesting. Oh, changing again. Very interesting. Okay, guys, 3, 2, 1. Okay, end of the polling. Let me share the results. And the results, just before I share them with you, demonstrate that whilst the proposers have narrowly won, they've lost ground from the opening vote. So I guess Christine and Prof. Yingwei could declare some sort of Pyrrhic victory. So here's the sharing of the poll results. Thank you to all panelists. Thank you to all participants. What I will shortly do is hand back to Peter, but before I do, can I just say very grateful in these times to have the opportunity to engage with minds around the world as part of these debates. I have to go off, unfortunately. I can't stay this time and informally talk with people, but thank you to everyone. Please stay safe. I'm sure that we're not too far away from returning to some sort of normal, perhaps in the new year, certainly by the spring. And thank you very much, everyone, for your contributions. It's been a real pleasure. I'm now going to make Peter the host again, and I'm going to bid farewell to all of you and say stay safe.
Thank you.
Okay, Peter's now the host.
All right, go ahead, Mandy. I think you can share a screen.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Great. Well, thanks again to our wonderful debaters and debate master for your fantastic contribution. It's always a delight to listen to you and also to our audience members from around the world who have made their voices heard. Thanks also to our sponsors, Airlangga University of Indonesia and the City University of Hong Kong for the valuable support. The next Squaring the Circle debate is scheduled for next month on Wednesday, 2nd of December at 9 p.m. Singapore time. Next month's debate motion is the COVID-19 pandemic will be largely forgotten by 2022. So be sure to join our speakers, Dr. Jordan Gunawa, Ms. Igorim Shilibakova, Professor Philip Castro Sowiro, and Professor Cheng Pu Chen. And of course, our debate master, Dr. Karen Downing, on Wednesday, 2nd of December at 9 p.m. Singapore time. As you can see, there has been a Squaring the Circle debate every first Wednesday of the month since June. So if you have missed one, do be sure to visit our website to view the recordings. And 2 weeks from now is another of our regular events, session 6 of our Fireside Chat series. The topic of session 6 is the civic responsibilities of universities. What roles do the social sciences and natural sciences play? Supported by Hasanuddin University of Indonesia and Education Insight, the Fireside Chats are a discussion-focused webinar series that bring a globally diverse group of experts to weigh in on an important current topic. Mrs. Winnie Ely, partner of Education Insight from the UK, is our moderator. And we have 3 very distinguished speakers from Germany, the UK, and Indonesia to provide that global perspective. The Fireside Chat is held on every 3rd Wednesday of the month, with the next edition scheduled on 18th November at 9 p.m. Singapore time. And that's 2 weeks from now, so please diarise it. This slide shows you the future dates for our series of Fireside Chat, and it will go on to the end of the year. So again, if you have missed one of the earlier sessions, the recording is available on appliedhe.com. In the meantime, do check out our Applied HE Extra News website, where you can submit your institution's news and press releases. We're pleased to announce that Applied HE Extra News is now indexed by Google News. And what this means is our readership is growing rapidly, and we can now truly promote you on the global stage and at no charge at all. This is great news for both readers and institutions who publish news via the Applied HE online news platform. Also take a look at our Applied HE Job Ready rating. This new rating system emphasizes teaching and learning, graduate skills, employability, and interaction with industry. The rating is also non-prescriptive and can be applied to different types of institutions across different sectors from full-fledged research universities to specialized institutions. Please drop us a line if you would like to learn more about the Job Ready ratings and how it can translate into affordable strategies for global branding and marketing. We're also in the process of launching a pilot to evaluate English as a medium of instruction, whereby we measure the quality and depth of an institution's English language programs, especially for institutions from non-English speaking countries which offer English language degree programs. The Applied HE EMI Ready rating can be a useful internal benchmarking tool as well as a great marketing tool for the recruitment of international students. Do reach out to us if you would like to join the pilot. It's free and we still have some open places for certain countries. And scheduled to launch in January 2021 is the Applied HE Rankometer. We believe that there are too many different rankings today. One can hardly see the forest through all the trees. So we've come up with a new methodology that will settle the question of university rankings once and for all. Intrigued? In January 2021, we will tell you all about it. Also scheduled to launch in the first quarter of 2021 is the Applied HE's own social media platform called Applied HE Future, a trusted social media inspired platform that connects everyone from high school to professional career to lifelong learning for the 3 E's: education, employment, and everything in between. So yes, the future is coming. Watch out for our pre-launch emailers, which we will be sending out very soon. And last but not least, as you know, we are the new kid on the block and we're very grateful for all the support we can get, which is why I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge once again all our very supportive webinar partners: City University of Hong Kong, Airlangga University of Indonesia, Hasanuddin University of Indonesia, the University of Lahore of Pakistan, Chinese Culture University of Taiwan, Changchun Christian University of Taiwan, Pearl Academy of India, JL Education Consultants, and Education Insight UK. A very big thank you for the valuable support given to Applied HE. All right, thanks very much, everyone. However, the evening is not over yet. Please do not leave the chat room. We want you to experience a networking atmosphere that is as creative and as close as we can get to a physical networking environment. So we're going to open the room now. You can all see each other and perhaps say hi, introduce yourself. So please be sure to turn on your cameras. We'll play some music, have a drink, relax. The room is all yours. Right, over to you now, Peter, to get our social event started.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you should have been promoted to a panelist now with a full camera and everything. So yes, you can turn on your camera, put on your t-shirt, and do what you got to do. Let me find the share screen thing so that we can turn on the music. And you can just chat away. That's it. All right, we have the music as well. All right, well, thank you very much for watching. Yes. I think we have some regular. I see, yeah, Professor Judith. I think, Benny, you've been to our events a few times as well, right?
Hi, is that you, June?
No.
Philippines?
I would, if nobody else is going to say anything at the moment, just would like to ask actually colleagues or the panelists about the question I put up about, you know, different forms of universities going forward. You know, I mean, it is interesting. I think the new institution that we've just got in the UK that brings together an industry partner as well as a government, as well as academic, you know, and that's how it's funded. I mean, it's tiny. There's only I think there's only going to be 50 or 100 students, so it's tiny by comparison to our big institutions. But, you know, do you think that the shape of the traditional university is going to change? You were too scared to say because you work in traditional universities. You're thinking, oh, the boss might be listening. I'm a consultant, so I work for myself, so I don't mind. I'm just saying what I think.
Professor Judith, is there any such thing called as a traditional university? Because, you know, if we try to face the university, there is so-called like the first generation of university, the second generation. which one is the traditional one?
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, isn't it?
Yeah,
I suppose you've got like a general, you know, I suppose it's, you know, where's the key decision making taking place? Where's the management and governance taking place? Where's the finances taking place? Where's the performance measured? Well, in a university, even if you've got different sorts of ways in which you're operating, your overarching governance will probably be very similar, even if you're an online institution, you know, whereas if you've truly got a collaboration, let's say with industry or business, where it's a 50-50 decision on absolutely everything, let's say, or with a multitude of businesses, you know, it would just be interesting to see if that might be a model for the future. I'm not advocating it, it's just whether that's a possibility.
Okay.
I think I can a quick note to your question. That's change is the only constant. Universities today are responsive quickly to all the change. Okay.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that, really.
I mean, one of the, I think, for me, one of the most important thing about the academic ambience is like, you know, we always try to adapt to our new and current development.
That's right.
So, well, you know, in my opinion, there's no such thing called the traditional that we're going to keep. You know, what we're going to keep is how we can adapt ourselves to our new world.
Yeah. What I think is that's a good point, and it's up to each professor, each lecturer, to bring in new ideas, to bring in new corporations, to bring in new tasks from companies, to bring or to level it up. So I think every lecturer is able to do that. So what Lily said about the accreditation of study programs who are there for 4 years, 5 years, that's a very good point, and it's very important. And maybe we have to think about the independence of governance, accreditation, and universities. We are not that dynamic that we would love to be. So
Yeah, I just want to say also, Christine, your students are lucky to be in your class, right? Because so when we talk about mentors or coaching, so besides programs, degrees, everyone here are empowered to be the kind of coach or mentor or a model to our learners. So I think that would be another way of looking at it. But to your point, Judith, yeah, I think in different countries, the models are quite different. Like, for example, in Indonesia, a majority of universities are private. And so the governance is very different. Yeah, and some of them are able to move very quickly and change really quickly. So just, it is exciting to see all the models coming up, you know, and, you know, like I said, I'm a big fan of universities, but I mean, this is a necessary dialogue, but I do believe in individual change because, you know, with I guess social media, everyone over here is a content provider. We see so many inspiring professors, lecturers, teachers online. Besides doing what's in the classroom, they are going beyond, reaching across borders, sharing curriculum, sharing insights, sharing strategies, and that's constantly inspiring us. And as long as universities keep inspiring, whatever model, you know, the models can evolve, but I think we will always need inspirational and cutting edge researchers, but also inspirational instructors, so that we can keep searching for new knowledge. So I have to apologize. Unfortunately, I'll have to leave. So it's very nice meeting everyone and happy to stay in touch in different ways. So thank you.
Stay healthy.
Yeah, stay well.
Right, thank you everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was a great session, though, Mandy.
Okay,
I think
everybody's leaving now.
yeah. No, I just wanted to say it was
No
a great
problem.
session, Mandy. I think it was really good point to bring us all together to discuss it. And I suppose it shows that we've got common goals across the whole world. What I love about your sessions is you have people from absolutely everywhere, and we've all got a love of education, though, haven't we? That's why we're here. But I think that's what's really powerful in bringing it together. So thanks once again to Applied HE. I know you're still the new kid on the block, but I feel as though we've known you forever now, which is wonderful.
Thank you.
I also have to thank you. It was very, very much fun, and it was very enlightening. And thank you for inviting me and everybody for contributing. Thanks.
Thank you. And you all had a good time. We'll see
Yeah.
you in 2 weeks' time.
Yes, and see you in a few weeks' time on that note. I think it's good to end. Good night, and or good morning, or a good breakfast, whatever it is. See you. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
It's a long day, huh?